Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this pretty big Christmas sock. Now you can do these for birthdays, they don't just have to be for Christmas, you know. I'm going to show you how to make this big sock. Now if you want a bigger sock than this, you can double up your yarn or use chunky yarn. You can use thinner. I've used double knitting yarn. I used this baby King Cole baby glitz. It's got a little shine in it. It's got a little metallic thread all through it, but it's still nice and soft. You can make them any colour you want. I'll show you in the video how you do the heel if you're doing a smaller one. So let's say you only have 32 stitches around. Half of 32 is 16. So you'll half your 16 again. So half of 16 is 8. So you'll go 8 that way and 8 that way, and you'll make your square of your heel. The heel is done with half the amount of stitches. So if you watch the video how I do the heel, if you do a smaller sock, then you'll do that the same way using half the amount of stitches you've got on your round. So even if you don't do such a big sock as me, if you don't do the same increase, if you do less increase, whatever your stitch count is around, half it. And that's the half that you'll use to make the heel. Just watch the video how I did the heel, and that's the way you'll have your stitches to do a heel if you're making a smaller sock. So I'm going to show you how to make this really pretty. It's very easy and it's very quick Santa sock. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a magic ring. So just put the tail end of the yarn in the front of your hand and cross over your yarn. Wrap it around. Put your hook under and pull it through. Take your fingers out and catch your working yarn, and we're going to chain 2. 1 and 2. Now this isn't a stitch, this one. We'll always be chaining 2 before we do our next round. So into your circle, you're going to put 9 UK half treble crochets. And if you're in the USA, that is a half double crochet. Going to put 9 into this ring. This chain of 2 is not a stitch, so don't count that. So 1, yarn over into the hole, into the space, pull through 3 loops, yarn over and through the 3 loops. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. And this is row 1. I don't need such a big tail. Leave enough to stitch your end in. Pull your tail, and we're going to slip stitch in to where that little chain of 2 is, in there. And remember, that's not a stitch, so just slip stitch. So this is your first stitch here, and we've got 9. We're going to chain 2. 1, 2. Now if you want, you can put a pin around that chain of 2 if you want, just so you know where it is, but you don't really have to. So into the first stitch, we're going to put 2 half trebles into each stitch. That's 2 half doubles if you're in the USA. So into the stitch and put 2. 1 and 2. 2 into the next one, 1 and 2. We're going to increase by 9. So we should have 18 stitches by the time we're finished this. We've got 9 and we're putting 2 into each stitch, and that'll make 18. So 2 into that one, all the way around. I'm going to slip stitch into the chain and chain 2. 1, 2. Now that's my first stitch here. You're going to do 1 into that stitch, then 2 into the next stitch, increase on the second stitch, 1 and 2 into that one, then 1 into the next one, then 2 into the next one. So you're going to increase every second stitch. So 1 into the next one all the way around, 1 and then 2 into the next stitch. So I've got 2 stitches left. So I'm going to put 1 into the next stitch and 2 into this last stitch. 1 and 2. I'm going to slip stitch. There's my chain. Just slip stitch. Don't go into that stitch. This is your next stitch here. So go in to the chain in the space and slip stitch. Chain 2, 1, 2. Now there's my next stitch there, not that one, that belongs to that chain. Here, you're going to put 1 into that stitch, 1 into the next stitch, and 2 into the third stitch. We're going to increase every third stitch now. And what you'll do is, you're going to do that until you have 6 stitches and then an increase. So that's my increase done. So we're doing 1 and 2. And then your increase in the third stitch. 1, 2 into that stitch. 1 into the next one. That's 1. 1 into the next one. That's 2. And 2 increase into the third one. 2 into that one. You'll do that all the way around. You'll slip stitch into your chain, chain 2, then you'll do 3 stitches and increase on the fourth one. You'll slip stitch to your chain, chain 2, then you'll do 4 and increase, 4 and increase, 4. Then the next row will be 5 stitches and then an increase, 5 stitches, then an increase. And the last one of this round will be 6 stitches and then do your increase. So you'll continue with these rounds until you've done 6 stitches and then increase on the 7th stitch. So that'll be 6 and then an increase, 6 and then an increase. So we'll work until we get to that size. So this is what it looks like now. I've got 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then an increase, 6 and then an increase, and that's row 8. Now what you're going to do now is really simple. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and remember that's not a stitch. So ignore the very first tiny little stitch that's above that hole. That is the chain 2. Into your next stitch, you're only going to put 1 stitch into each stitch all the way around, and we're going to do that for 22 rows. We're going to do 22 rows. We're just going to go 1 stitch into each one, around and around and around. You'll do your chain 2 and slip stitch and 1 into each stitch until you've done another 22 rows. So 1 into each stitch all the way around. 1 into each stitch. No increases. We're doing no more increases at all. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to count that as a stitch. So I've cut my yarn off. I'm going to pull that through. I'll sew that in later. Now what you're going to do from here, you're going to count 18 stitches that way and mark it. 18 stitches, 18 that way. So don't count that knot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We're going to mark off 36 stitches. Now from your tail end, go 18 that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And put a mark in there. Now I'm going to get my white yarn. We're going to do the heel. I'm going to put my hook through there and pull my yarn through. Now we're going to do 12 rows of the same stitch. From here to that pin, chain 1 and work back and forward until you've got 12 rows. So I'm going to chain my 1, put my tail down there. You can bring your tail up and stitch it in. So in, yarn over, into that stitch and pull through and work along to the other pin, to your other marker. Take my marker out, don't need them, and that stitch. Now I'm going to chain 1, turn your work around and work back the other way, and you're going to do 12 rows back and forward. So I've got my 12 rows done, and I'm going to cut the yarn. Leave a tail long enough to sew. Through that loop. Now what you're going to do, this is the outside of your sock. You're going to bring these two together. That's the inside. And you're going to sew down this seam. Work your way back a few stitches and then trim it off. And that's has got the heel done. So that's the heel of your sock. Now we're going to work around and around and do the top part of the sock. That's the heel. I'm going to start right where I joined it. I'm going to collect 18 stitches down this way. Remember we used 18 stitches that way. I'm going to collect 18 stitches. Now we've done 12 rows. So we should be able to do 1, then 2 stitches, 1, then 2, 1, then 2, 1, then 2, 1, 2, and then 1 on each row. We'll count it as we're going. So I'm going to get my pink yarn back. So go back to your pink yarn and right in the middle where you sewed it, this is going to be our seam, and it's in line with the seam on the back. Just pull your yarn through. I'm going to do one stitch, wrap my tail around. I'm going to bring the tail in as I'm working along. Now I do have a little double stitch there. So go through your first stitch, pull your yarn through and pull it through. Now drop your tail down, just stitch your tail in. So that's that row done. In the next row I'm going to put 2 stitches in that row. 1 and 2. So that's me got 3 all together. So that first one I'm not going to count it because that's going to be where I do my chain. And it's going to keep the seam running up the back of the sock. So I've put 2 in there, that's 2 stitches. And then 1, that's 3. 2 into the next one. 4 and 5. Tuck my tail in back in there. To the next one, 16, 17 and 18. Just work it out so that you end up with 18 down this length. Now we're going to put 1 in each stitch all the way around to that side. 1 into each one all the way around. So I'm round to the other side. I've got a stitch in here. Now we're going to do the same up here. I'm not going to count that one. From here to here we're going to add 18 stitches and that will give us the 36 back that we took away to do the heel. And we should have 72 stitches left plus that one that takes our chain 2. So I'll put 1 into the first stitch. That's 1. Put 2 into the next one. That's 2, 3. 1 into the next one. That's 4. 2 into the next one. 5 and 6. Work our way up so that you've got 18 stitches going up that side. Take your marker out and I'm going to slip stitch into that first one that we did. Remember, we didn't count this one, so it's a little bit tight. Slip stitch in, then I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2, and I'm going to start my rounds. Now I'm going to do 34 around and around and around, 34 rows. I'll cut my pink, then I'll add my white yarn and I'll do another 8 rounds in white to finish off the sock. So that's 34 rounds in the pink, around and around, and your sock will start to go up that way. So I'll just start my rounds just like we did before. 1 into each stitch around. And I'm going to do 34 rounds in the main colour, and my main colour is pink. So 34 rounds in your main colour. Then you'll do 8 rounds in the white for the top of your sock. So 8 rounds in the white or the same colour that you've done your heel. So I've got my sock completed. So I'm going to do the loop to make my sock. I'm going to do a chain. We'll do 20 and see how big it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. I'll do it a little bit longer 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 30. I've done 30. So what I'm going to do is, so into the third stitch along, 1, 2, 3, into that stitch, I'm going to slip stitch. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Now I'm going to put a double crochet into each of these 30 stitches. So that's a double crochet, 1 into each stitch. And that's going to thicken up my hanging strap. You can make your strap thicker if you want. So 1 into each stitch. So I'm nearly on my last stitch. Now I'm going to pick up the next stitch, do a double crochet, that's a single crochet of your USA in the next stitch along, chain 1 and turn, and then I'm going to work back up my hanging loop, and I'm going to put a double crochet in there and finish it off, and that'll give me a good strong loop to hang the sock up. It will hold quite a few gifts. It is quite big. Now I'm down at the other end and I'm just going to put a double crochet into this side and I'm going to finish it off. Cut my yarn, get my darning needle and stitch this end in. Go through my loop and I'm going to stitch this end in. If you use a thicker yarn, you'll get a thicker sock as well and a bigger sock. So this is a really simple, easy way to make a hanging Christmas sock. Easy square heel, a really easy square heel. And then that way, once it's all hanging up and stuffed up with toys, it'll be really pretty. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and if you click on the bell icon, YouTube will tell you when I put up another tutorial. So until the next time, happy crafting, and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.